So as we begin the practice, you can take the first few minutes to either just sit comfortably if you would like to lie down and put your legs up or lay back. A lot of you generally know the first few minutes of the practice is going to be some discussion. So make yourself comfortable. If you want to sit, if you want to lie down, if you want to take your legs up. And today we are going to emphasize our appreciation of tools. So the other day I was thinking how I was talking to my son about the differences between like animals and like humans and our brains, and like how some of those differences like are a little bit challenging. Like sometimes things like seem like they'd be a little bit simpler if we were animals still, just like, very much in that mammal space. But one of the main things, right, that has been part of our evolution as a species has been our ability to perceive and utilize tools, right? Like most animals utilize simply the tools they have, right? Like if they have wings, they fly. If they have teeth, they bite. If they have claws, they claw, they dig, right? And like they do know how to use their environment to some degree, but generally the range of tools is pretty specific, right? But where for us, we're like, oh, we don't have wings, let's make planes. Oh, we don't have fins, let's figure out how to go underwater. Most of the time with the right tools, we can survive and potentially thrive in any environment. We can go into extreme cold and be comfortable. We can go into extreme heat and be comfortable. Tools are a really big deal. And as I've continued to grow in my own practice, yoga and meditation and astrology and mindfulness and all these other aspects, like what has always resonated is that this developing of a toolkit, of a tool belt, because if we only have one tool, and this comes up a lot too, it's like if you just have a hammer and you want to build a house, like that's not going to go over very well, right? Like you need more tools than just the hammer to build a house. And a lot of what I feel like my yoga practice has been like gathering tools and then knowing when to pick them up, like knowing when to utilize them. And as we've gone through the last couple of years of just like craziness, I have felt so privileged and blessed to have like this plethora of tools. It's like, okay, do I need a deeper exhale? Do I need to put my legs up? Do I need, to do some breath of fire? What element, what energy, where's the moon, right? Like all these resources that allow us to pick up the appropriate tool. And so this kind of was, coming up for me the other day. Like that's been in my thought of like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful we have all these tools. I'm so grateful. But to just take a moment in the practice today and to really let the practice be about this awareness and appreciation of the tools that we have at our disposal and that we also have right now. So wherever you are in your space, can you start to settle and perhaps observe the tools that are available just in your space, right? Most likely, if you're cold, you can put on a blanket. If it's dark, you can turn on a light. If it's loud, you can close the door. You can put on headphones. If you're thirsty, you can take a sip of water, right? If you're hungry, the kitchen is not too far. Like these are all tools that are around us. And then also within our body. So we have learned as humans how to create a voluntary relationship with involuntary systems. So in yoga, the breath is one of our most priceless tools because the breath is going to happen, right? Like unless you are in an emergency state, like the breath is going to happen. But we have learned that through consciously utilizing the breath as a tool, we can facilitate certain shifts in our body, in our space. We have learned in yoga that specific postures, right? Like using our body as a tool can create this shift. We've also learned how to use yoga props, right? Like most likely you're on a mat. Most likely you have a blanket, a block, a bolster, or a pillow, or you've gathered tools around the house. And so for just the next couple moments as we arrive into the practice today, this week, like just let yourself sort of marvel at all of the tools at your disposal, just in this moment. And then maybe let yourself breathe into the other tools you've gathered, whether they're physical tools, tools of trades. You know, when we learn how to change a tire, when we learn how to wash the clothes, the dishes, right? Like we gather these tools from the most basic level to the most advanced spiritual levels. And sometimes it's so easy to feel powerless and uncertain, and that remains to be true in a lot of the world. But in this moment, we have so many tools that we can pick up to help us to be present and grateful and grounded. And so let yourself consciously breathe, naming the breath as this profound tool that you always have at your disposal. In any situation, again, unless it's that emergency situation, you're able to access the breath, to lengthen the breath, to deepen the breath, to manipulate the breath into different retentions and pulsations. And your body that allows it allows itself to still be a tool that can shift and move and shape. And again, the support around you. And for whatever is going on right now, a lot of the times it really comes down to what is the appropriate tool? Is it to surrender? Is it to take action? Is it to pause and reflect? And yoga philosophy also offers us so many tools. And a lot of you have been on this journey with me for 17 years. March 4th was 17 years since Yoga Blend opened. And even though it's closed and evolved and transitioning, you know, a lot of us have been together for almost that amount of time. A lot of tools. And some tools we put down, right? Like having just the hammer to build a house, not appropriate. We'll put that down and pick something else up. And sometimes we do need to put down tools and pick up others, right? Some tools are no longer serving the function. And as humans, we have the ability to discern what is the appropriate tool. So for this next hour-ish, right? Can we consciously pick up the tools of the breath, the body, the focus? Can we intentionally pick up the tools of our practice to allow us this appreciation, this simplicity? So tune into your breath, tune into that quality of appreciation for all of the tools that you have gathered this last year, this last couple of years, your lifetime. When you think about like that, like how many tools would you actually have in your tool belt or tool box or whatever you would prefer to carry tools around in? And then take a big, big breath in. And sigh out. And so how do we move into the practice if we are viewing our movements and breath as tools, right? As we're moving from this place of appreciation and having these tools to support us. So from that space of every breath, of every moment, of every posture being a tool, start to wiggle and stretch. And we're going to begin on the back. So if you have been elsewhere, go ahead and make your way down onto the back. Lying on the earth, always a valuable tool. Let yourself have space around you for your arms and legs, just space to stretch and move. And again, take a big, big inhale. And exhale. And then go ahead and hug your right knee into your chest. And give a little rock, a little shift, let your head shake out. Point and flex your foot. And so every pose we do is not random. Every pose has function. Every pose is a tool. Now, again, sometimes it's not the appropriate tool. This pose, hugging the knee in, releases the low back and it supports healthy digestion and elimination. And so just feeling in to that function. And then release the right leg out, hug the left knee in. Feel into the difference between sides. And stay connected to your breath. Wiggle your toes and your ankle on the left leg, feel the difference. And we usually start right to left because that's the way the colon moves. That's the way the intestines move. So again, it's a tool. The way we sequence yoga classes, a teacher who has been, become aware of the tool of sequencing, right? It's very specific. Good. Go ahead and extend your left leg out, reach your arms up, stretch out through your arms and your legs, and we'll begin to flow. Exhale, hug the right knee in. Inhale, extend everything out. Exhale, hug the left knee in. So just follow your breath, Ardha Uttanasana, feeling the shift from holding one side to flowing between sides. That brings us deeper into the breath. And getting things moving emotionally, energetically. Starting to access a little bit of lower abdominals, as well as supporting digestion, elimination, and again, the back. Great release for the back. And then observe your breath. The longer and slower the breath becomes, the more calm the mind, the more oxygen in the body. Good, a few more like this, just slowly waking up. Again, there's a lot of sleepy energy right now, even though the moon is waxing, just kind of where we are between seasons. This is definitely kind of a dreamy, sleepy time. And the moon is in an earth sign right now, so very good for grounding. Hold that right knee in again, please. Lengthen your spine down. So feel the back of the head lengthen, the tailbone lengthen, roll your shoulders down. And then stretch your right leg up to the sky. Hold behind the thigh, the calf, or you could use the tool of a strap or a shirt. Right, so yoga props came out around the 70s, 80s. People started finding ways to make the poses more accessible, more comfortable. I teach an entire style of yoga, the restorative style, which literally is based in props, right? Like using those tools. And so in our own practices, it's like if we're struggling, there's a tool for that, right? And that's something we say in yoga, like there's a pose for that. There's a sutra for that. There's a tool, right? A tool is anything we can use to basically make something more accessible, easier, or to be able to get something done that you couldn't do otherwise. And of course, discernment and appropriateness always play in because again, hammer to build the house, not going to get us very far. Now a hammer to, hang things up on the walls if you have nails, or a hammer to break things if the destruction is part of the cycle, that can be very therapeutic. So not to say hammer doesn't have use, it just needs to have, appropriate uses. Take another breath. Exhale, hug that right knee in. And switch, stretch your arms up, reach the right leg out, hug the left knee in, hold the knee. And like I said, the sequence today will be very simple and grounding, just continuing to come back to really feeling into the appreciation for all of these tools we have and all of these positions. You can extend the leg up using your hand, using your strap, using a shirt, or maybe you don't extend the leg up. Maybe it doesn't feel good to do that. So we're stretching the left leg up, right leg is down. Good. Breathe. And so notice the breath, slow the breath. We will do some more specific pranayama a little bit further in the practice, but it's good to get into the body, into the big muscles before we get into the subtle breath. We just want to keep that breath flowing. Big inhale. Exhale, hug the left knee in. And this time, go ahead and hug both knees into your chest. And just take your hands to your knees and start to circle out the hips. So press your knees away and then out to the side. So almost like you were drawing an 8, right? Like drawing that 8 as you bring it out and in. Let your head relax and shoulders soften. And then reverse the direction of that 8. So just letting the knees circle the other way. So this is really good for the hips and the low back. And again, just keeping the head and neck relaxed. Big inhale. And then exhale, place your feet on the mat. So bring the feet about hip width distance apart. Take your arms down by your sides. Push your feet down gently and slowly start to lift your hips up. And then exhale, roll your spine down. So just warming up with bridge. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, roll down. Now, if you want to bring in a little bit more of a neck release, as you lift your hips, lift your right arm up and then turn your head to the left. And then bring the head back to center, lower the right arm, lower the hips. And then lift your hips, left arm up, look right, and then release. So if that's too much, like I said, a lot of our intention today is to keep it simple, right? Keep the focus on the tools that are appropriate and available. But if you're comfortable lifting the hips and the arm and turning the head, and that feels good for your neck, then play with that. If it doesn't, then just stay with bridge. Continue to press your feet down, following the breath. Good. Relax your jaw. And then if you're doing the arm movement, do one more to each side. And then we'll hold bridge for a couple of breaths, but I prefer you not having the arms up when you hold bridge. And then once you hold your bridge, think about hugging the legs in, opening your chest. It doesn't have to be a high bridge, but this is a wonderful pose for opening the heart, counteracting our slouching, supporting the thyroid, strengthening the back body. So this bridge, some poses are more tool-based than others. Some poses have one specific function, others have several. So bridge is used as a tool for a lot of different things. So just take a big breath in your bridge and then roll yourself down. Take your feet as wide as the mat, so the knees are still bent. Bring your arms out to the sides or up overhead, and then just start to create that windshield wiper twist. So windshield wiper, the feet are wide and you're dropping the knees to the right and then to the left. So this is really good for the low back and for the hips. And again, if we want to bring the neck into it, let your head turn the opposite direction of the knees. So as your knees go left, your head goes right. And follow your breath. So allowing the breath to be as slow and smooth as you can. And so, like I said, the whole idea for this theme came from a conversation with my child, who I have to remind myself, right? Like when you're raising small humans, like they don't have many tools yet, right? Like sometimes it seems like they do because, you know, they seem really smart or they seem, you know, like they get things, but you forget, you know, that and a lot of adults too, like a lot of adults, you know, full grown adults do not have many tools, right? There's a lot of folks walking around with like a hammer, right? Like, and the hammer is all they got. You know, and like I said, that's been a huge source of gratitude and sadness this last couple of years of being so appreciative of having so many tools and also a lot of people not having them. And then there are those moments where it doesn't feel like enough, right? Like when we have those moments where we're just like hit and it's like, but we're able to recover a lot quicker when we have tools that we can come to, you know, when we become more aware. Let your knees settle to the right. Keep the feet nice and wide. Draw your shoulders down. Soften your jaw. Twisting supports detoxification, helping to clear out stagnant energy in the body, again, facilitating that digestion and elimination. It also clears the mind when we twist. It helps us to just sort of rinse out the overwhelming thoughts. And especially when we use the exhale in the twist. So that's a big tool in the twist is the exhale. Take another couple conscious exhales. And generally speaking, the exhale is the tool for release, for calming down, for letting go. And so a lot of times when we're amped up, it's hard to access the exhale. And so that's a tool we can pick up anytime. It's like, let me extend my exhale. Let me exhale. Take another breath in. Exhale it out. And then roll the knees up and to the left. So feet nice and wide. Roll your shoulders down. Maybe turn your head the other direction. You can gently flex your feet, soften your jaw. And then tune into the exhalation. And it can also be easy to want to like bombard our tools. Like I have those, like that moment with my son the other day where I'm like, how can I just like, psychically transmit all of this so that you don't have to go through, right, all of the life things to develop these tools? Because a lot of our tools are hard won, right? Like it's a hard win to like really grasp those tools. And we don't want our loved ones to go through that. We just want to be like, here's the tool. But sometimes they've got to go through that on their own in their own process. And in yoga, we talk a lot about, we plant the seed, right? Like we can plant the seed that if you're stressed out, restorative can help, lengthening your exhale can help. But sometimes it takes really being in an uncomfortable situation to be willing to remember and pick up that tool and start to employ it. So that's the best we can do as parents, caregivers, friends, humans, yogis, teachers, is just to try to plant, pick up our own tools and then try to plant those seeds that they're available. Take a big breath in. Exhale it out. Go ahead and roll your whole body over to the left into fetal pose. And just curl in towards the earth. And then when you're ready, go ahead and press up into child's pose. If child's pose isn't available, you can stay on your back a little bit longer and just hug your knees back into your chest. Otherwise, feel free to utilize some of the tools such as blankets, pillows, right? So as we start to go further in the practice, we might be like, okay, hard surface, let me get a pillow. And that's the thing too, is I fully believe yoga is accessible to everybody, but sometimes we have to pick up slightly different tools, right? So coming into child's pose, knees comfortably wide, toes together, sitting back on your heels. Maybe there's a prop under your knees or under your forehead. Or if this is not an appropriate pose tool, then you're on your back with your knees to your chest. And then we come back to the breath. Let the breath be slow and deep. Taking that moment of appreciation for all the tools in your space, tools in your belt, your kit, your, whatever toolbox you like to imagine carrying around, and know that you have one. Even in those moments where you feel like you don't know what to do, you do have plenty of tools at your disposal. And it's okay if it takes a minute or two to figure out which one to pick up. Or if we pick up one that doesn't work, and we can pick up another. Take another breath. And then on an inhale, bring yourself up to all fours. If all fours is not comfortable, come to a seat. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and maybe there's support underneath your knees. And we'll just begin to move the spine. Inhale, drop the belly, roll the chest open for cow. Exhale, tuck the chin, arch back for cat. And this can also be done seated. There's no reason to force the knees to be uncomfortable. There is a tool. You can sit down and do it. And a lot of us need that reminder that yoga is about breath and spinal movement. And we can achieve that in a lot of different positions. There's not one like perfect position. Every body is different. And to me, an advancing yoga practice is, again, knowing which tool is appropriate when. And even though this class is gentle, I would have to say, I think I have the most advanced yogis in this practice because of the commitment to a plethora of tools that include rest and effort and meditation and breath and mantra and visualization. So much. And that can be overwhelming too. Sometimes it can feel like we have too many tools, right? So sometimes it feels like we don't have enough. Sometimes it feels like too much. And when it's too much, we come back to basics, right? So in yoga, that's the breath and moving the spine. And then find a neutral spine on all fours. So again, if you can't be on your knees, you can come up to stand for balance. So from tabletop, as you inhale, you'll extend the right leg and maybe the left arm, and then exhale, lower. If you can't be on the knees, you can stand up and then you'll draw the right knee in as you reach the left leg up. So kind of the same thing, just drawing the leg in rather than out. So following the breath, balance poses strengthen our core, as well as support the hemispheres of the brain, right? So bringing balance to the sides of the brain. Pick a gazing spot that's not moving. If you are struggling with balance, that's an important tool of balance, the drishti, the gazing point. I know I've said that word like 1,000 times already in the practice, the word tool, but it was like one of those funny little, awarenesses the other day of like, oh my gosh, like I'm so grateful to have so many tools that we have, gathered and that we're able to, as humans, we have so many things we're working on, but there's some things that, are pretty amazing. And our ability to perceive and utilize tools, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, pretty amazing, sets us apart from all the other species. We're going to hold next time you have right leg up and or left arm, and just hold. Maybe hold the gazing point. Don't hold your breath, right? Breath is that most priceless tool. Good. And gently release, switch sides. Take your time. Lengthen, extend, breathe. Release, push back to child's pose or down dog. If you're standing, just take a standing forward fold. So if you have a little more energy in the body and you want a down dog, lift your hips, stretch it back. A little less energy and you want child's pose, or you can go to a standing forward fold at the top of the mat. Give yourself a couple of moments. Or maybe you want all of those. So you take a down dog and then a child's pose and then come to a standing forward fold. So sometimes it is appropriate to pick up more than one tool, just in a sequence that is supportive. And then we all will make our way up to our forward fold. When you're ready, no rush. Feet hip width distance apart, toes facing forward. And this is also a lovely spot to grab some of those tools like props or folding over the bed or the chair, just to bring the earth closer. They're still coming out with all kinds of fancy yoga props. I was in a store the other day and they got all these wheels and all these other things that I don't even actually know how to use. But I've been teaching a long time and it's been a while since I've had a class on the new tools. A lot of teachers use the yoga balls and all kinds of stuff. So even within that, we're always developing more. Take a few more breaths, shake out your head, soften your jaw. And then slowly bend your knees, roll yourself up one vertebra at a time. Let yourself come to standing. And then separate your feet a little bit wider, soften your knees and just twist it out. A little bit of windmill. Let your head and your neck go, soften your face. Again, maybe just scanning your room, you know, where you're practicing and just marveling at all the tools, right? We have computers, we have smart devices, you know, diffusers, like just glancing around my room, it's like there are a lot of tools, you know. The bathroom, wonderful tool, right? The sink, all these things that we have available. And then maybe you have books and journals and all kinds of things, you know, almost everything in your space probably holds the quality of being a tool for you at some point, or maybe it was a tool. Bring it back to center. Soften the knees. You can bring the feet in just a little bit closer. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, side bend over to the left. So lengthen your left arm down, roll the shoulders down, squeeze the legs. Really opening up through the side body. Good. Now keep that right arm up as you bring yourself up. Take that right hand over to the left side of the head and draw the right ear to the right shoulder. And then lengthen out through that left arm. Soften your jaw. Relax your face. Roll the shoulders down. And just rotate that left wrist a little bit if that's okay in your neck. And then relax. Stretch up and over back to that left side. Right arm up overhead. Turn your head down. Go back into that side bend. Look down. And then inhale, sweep it up, big stretch. Exhale, right arm down, left arm overhead. So starting in that side bend, relax the shoulders, soften the jaw. Press down through your feet as you draw your belly in. Side bends are great for stretching the obliques. Again, lengthening all the muscles that tend to shorten in the side body. Also great for decompressing the organs. Good, as you start to come up, take that left hand to the right side of the head and then draw left ear to left shoulder. And then reach the right arm out to the side. You can flip the palm or you can rotate. Soften the jaw. And then relax the right arm down, come up and over back to that side bend. Left arm overhead, look down towards the right. Relax your shoulders. And then inhale, bring it up. And we're just going to flow through the side body. So exhale to the left. Inhale up. Exhale to the right. Now you can keep your head neutral or you can look down. You can also look up. Push into your feet. Strong legs. Belly draws in, so a little bit of core work whenever we're working with obliques. Lengthening, extending. One more to each side. And then inhale, reach it up, reach it up. Exhale, forward fold. Again, maybe use your props. Inhale, lengthen up halfway, hands to blocks, shins or thighs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle wide, reach up, big stretch. Exhale, hands to heart. Good. Inhale, lift up into your heart. Exhale, sit into chair. So look at your toes as you sit into chair. So it's not important how far you sit back, but we are sitting back. So even if just a couple of inches, we want to be able to see the toes and then we lift the gaze. And then even if you sit back a little bit more, that's fine, but don't come past the point where the knees are okay. And so this strengthens the quads, the glutes. Also helps us to connect to the heart. So there's a heart opener happening here. So a strong pose, but also a heart-centered pose. If you want a little more strength, you can reach your arms up. That's going to weight the pose a little bit more, but you don't have to. Keep yourself soft. Just feeling a little bit of that strong earth energy in the legs. Big inhale, exhale, forward fold, let it go. Shake it out. And then roll yourself all the way up, all the way up. Inhale, sweep the arms up at the top. Exhale, forward fold, back down, back down. Inhale, lengthen up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle it up, big stretch. Hands to heart. One more like that. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up. Hands to heart. Good. Inhale here, exhale, sit into your chair one more time. So again, doesn't have to be very deep. Just sit your bottom back and then lift your chest. Draw the belly in. You can reach your arms up or keep them low, but keep the lift through the heart. So we're getting that nice articulation through the curves of the spine, even as we engage, right? So having a little bit of both, right? The strength in the low body, the openness in the upper body. Take another inhale, exhale, forward. Bend your knees, shake it out a little bit. So loosen up your low back, your hips. Good. And then roll it on up. Hands to hips, shift the weight to the left leg, bend your right knee. So the toes can stay on the mat, or you can lift the knee up towards the chest. You can point or flex or both. Hands can stay at the hips. They can always come out to the sides or up. Sometimes that affects the balance. So the tool for balance, right, is find something that's not moving. Breathe. And then release. Shake it out. Shake out the arms and the legs. And then ground into the right leg. Hands to hips, bend that left knee. Maybe the toes stay on the mat. Maybe it comes up. Arms can come out, up, or stay low. You can play with pointing, flexing the foot. And the breath. Where is the tool of the breath, right? So balance, core stabilization, supporting the brain. Inhale. Exhale, release, shake it out. Okay, let's briefly take a wide stance on the mat. So take the legs as wide as you comfortably can and point your toes forward. So point the toes forward, soften your knees, hands to your hips, and just pause here. So again, toes are facing forward or slightly in, long spine, and then reach your arms up, either out to the sides or straight up. And just find the length through the body. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to come halfway down. So the arms can extend out, the hands can come to the hips, or stretch your arms straight out in front. So draw your hips back, lengthen your spine, hug the legs towards each other. So we're strengthening the back, strengthening the core, and opening the hips and the legs. Good, lengthen a little bit more. Remember the tool of the breath. Inhale, bring yourself up. Point the right toes to the right, turn the left toes in slightly. Hands to hips, inhale, exhale, bend the right knee for warrior two. So the right knee is at the right ankle. Hands can stay at the hips or stretch your arms out, look to the right fingertips. So shoulders are over hips, right knee is bent. So again, doesn't need to bend very much, we just don't want to come in past the toe. So this is a great hip opener. And again, we're strengthening the core by holding that isometric energy in. And just breathe. Keeping it simple, appreciating our tools of breath, of shape. Big inhale. Exhale, hands to hips, straighten the right leg, turn your feet forward again. So point your toes forward. Hands to hips, lift up. Option to stretch your arms up and out. Big inhale, and then try to keep that as you come forward halfway and hold. Soften your knees, draw your hips back. You can bring the arms forward or back. Lengthen your spine. Pull your belly in. Good. And then inhale, bring that. Exhale, relax your hands. Turn the left toes to the left, right toes in slightly, setting up for warrior two. So knee over the ankles, shoulders over hips. The hands can stay here because most of what warrior two is opening and strengthening the hip, right? So keeping the hands down, we stay with that. If we lift the arms up, we add that isometric strengthening through the shoulders, which does create more work for the core, right? And so we breathe. But if it feels like the arms and shoulders are pulling us down, right, then we focus on the tool of strengthening the lower body, right? So the function is the tool in the pose. Like, what tool am I looking for right now, right? What tool is working and what do I need to release? And then, of course, using the breath. Soften the jaw. Again, that quality of appreciation. But our body allows it to still be a tool in our human experience. Inhale. Exhale, straighten the leg one more time. Point your toes forward. Hands to hips, squeeze the legs, lengthen up as much as you can. Roll the shoulders back. Option this time to clasp your hands. And then first just come halfway. So the hands can be clasped and drawing back. Or again, if that's not appropriate for your shoulders, bring your arms up. But try to lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And then on your next exhale, fold down. Maybe stretch the arms up overhead or release your hands to the mat. So feeling into that wide leg, forward folds. Good, and if you've got the shoulder clasp, try to soften your elbows, soften your head, give things a little shake. If you have released your arms, you can bend the knees, rock your hips. You can also clasp your hands at the base of your skull and get a little bit more of a neck release. My friends who are asking for neck work today. Sometimes just being here is nice to loosen it up though, shake it out. If you are holding the hands, go ahead and release them if you haven't already. And just let go here. Focus on your breath. And we're going to add a twist. So if you need to grab your block, place it under your head, lengthen up, right hand to the floor of the block. You can also use the bed or the chair. Left hand to low back, start to rotate to the left, maybe left arm comes up. Long spine. Push into your feet. This is a twist that's specific for the upper and mid spine. Another breath. Exhale, release. Let it go for a moment. Shake it out. And then left hand to the block or prop or just under the face. Lengthen first. Right hand to hip or right arm up as you rotate to the right. Keep the legs strong. Soften the knees. Deep breath in and out. Let it go. When you're ready, heel toe the feet in just a little bit more so it's more comfortable, about shoulder distance. And then we'll turn the toes out and we'll lower down through squat. So again, feel free to grab your block or pillow, slide it now under your butt, and then come to the knees bent. If the knees are comfortable without the prop, you can just squat between your heels, or you might need to bring your bottom all the way to the mat. There's a tool for that. Lift the chest. Soften the face. Give your head a little shake. take a few good breaths. Softly, still appreciating the tools within and without. Take another inhale. And then very gently transition to your bottom. And we're going to cross the ankles with the right ankle in front. Okay. So we're up on the sits bones. You can sit up on a prop, especially if your pelvis feels like it's rolling forward or back, but the right leg in front. Just take a little bit more spinal movement. For whatever reason, when I'm seated, I like doing the circles more than cat-cow. I like cat-cow on all fours. And I get to make that choice, right? Like in my personal practice, it's like, this is a better tool for whatever reason. When I'm sitting, I like to move my spine in circles. But cat-cow is totally fine. And if you are circling with me, reverse the direction. And some days this is my practice, you know, I'll be sitting for a few moments, I'll do some circles, take a little twist and side bend, which we'll do, and then do some breathing. And that's all I need. Keep it simple, sweetheart. It's the acronym of KISS. And for whatever reason, like I said, this time of year, after the last several months, it's just getting back to the basics, right? Like, what are the tools? And most of us practicing right now, we have a lot of tools, but sometimes we need to pause and look at them, right? When was the last time you opened up that toolkit, marveled at all the things you've collected, bring it back up? Maybe some things need to be dusted off. Maybe some things need to be recycled. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, left hand down, right arm up and over. Soften the jaw. And then keep that left hand behind you. Take the right hand to the left knee and then exhale into the twist. So lengthen up, walk the left hand behind you. Give your head a little shake. Inhale. As you exhale, unwind, fold forward, walking out in front of that right shin. And you can be up on your hands. You can always take the hands behind you to ground the low back. Or once again, gather a tool for your forearms or your forehead. Just take a few good breaths into the hips. It's actually Sukhasana, which is that crossed ankle position. It's one of my favorite hip openers. Actually gets a really good hip opener on that front leg. And again, simple, you know, you find a comfortable seat, move your spine, do your side bend, twist, forward folds. And then walk it up. We'll add that little back bend. So hands come behind you, roll your chest up. You can tuck your chin or open the throat. And release. Good. Now switch the cross of the legs. So the left ankle should be in front. And you can also always put support under your knees. So if you've got blocks, pillows, make it comfortable, make it cozy. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Relax the jaw. Soften your head, ground your hips. Deep inhale. Exhale, take that left hand to the right knee. Walk the right hand behind you. Lean back into the twist. Exhale. Take a big breath in. Exhale as you unwind, fold towards the left leg. So Again, this side is a little bit different, so maybe a different tool is necessary, even just between sides. And a lot of times, our habits or even addictions, they used to be tools, right? Like a lot of us pick up certain bad habits, right? Quote unquote, like whatever bad means. Because at the time, it is about survival, it is about functioning, right? There's a function to it. But then as we get more mature, as our lives change, we realize that's no longer a tool, it's actually causing harm. And so that is true in our bodies. There were certain poses for me that for many years were tools. And then more and more, it's like, that actually is harming my body now. Like I can't utilize that as a tool. That doesn't mean I can't offer it to others where it's appropriate, but for me, it's no longer a tool. And so it is important at times to open up that metaphorical toolkit, toolbox, tool belt, and to marvel and appreciate the tools, but also sort them out, clear them out. What is still helpful? Go back. And for me, like I said, I go back to basics pretty often in all of my practices. Like, what is the most basic thing I learned? Okay, breathe and move the spine. Inhale, exhale. Walk it up, take the hands behind you, roll your chest open, chin can tuck or open your throat. And then bring it back. Sit up nice and tall, give yourself a little rock. Keep the left hand relaxing on the leg or turn it up. Take your right hand. We're going to keep this really simple. The thumb will close off the right nostril and the index finger will close off the left nostril. We'll do a few rounds of Nadi Shodhana. Keep that balance going. If you're stuffy or the sinuses are going today, I know there's a lot of stuff blooming, you can just imagine that you're breathing out and up through the different sides. But what it looks like is we close off the right nostril with the thumb and we inhale through the left. And then we close off the left with the index finger and we exhale out the right. And then we inhale right, close off the right, exhale left, inhale left, close, and then exhale, inhale right. So we exhale and inhale out one side and then we switch. That's the alternating nostrils, Nadi Shodhana. So again, if you're stuffy, just imagine that you're focusing on the breath moving out and in that side. We call that psychic Nadi Shodhana. I feel like it's got a lot of wonderful benefits too. Because Nadi Shodhana, not a helpful tool if you can't breathe through one nostril. And just soften your face, deepen your breath. Just take a couple more rounds. And the next time you exhale out the left nostril, you can release your hands. And just take a moment of gratitude. And we actually only have really a few minutes left of practice. So if you'd like to stay in meditation, you can. If you'd like to take those few minutes to lay down or put your legs up, you can. You can also leave the video if you want to have a longer Shavasana. I'm a big supporter of a long Shavasana, but a lot of things we did today, but always know that you can definitely take care of yourself in that way. We'll just give ourselves a few more minutes to just rest in gratitude for the tools, whether in meditation or on your back or your side or your legs up. And feeling the support of all of the tools in your space, in your body, in your practice. And just giving yourself these next few minutes to let everything else go. Just rest and appreciation. You can continue to rest. Otherwise, feel the breath. The breath that is always with us and yet sometimes is the tool we are quickest to forget. Just the amazing benefit of taking a long, slow breath, helping us to become present and aware and appreciative of all of the tools. And it is one of the marvelous things about being human, our ability to perceive and utilize and develop and explore tools. And it also can be kind of maddening. It's like, why don't we pick up these tools or put down those tools? But it is part of our process. And it does start within ourselves. Honor yourself for gathering that toolbox today. Let it support you as you move through the week. Take a big, big breath in and out. And you can start to bring movement back, wiggle and stretch, rock and roll. Eventually, maybe finding a seat. And you can place your hands at your lap or over your heart or heart and belly. And maybe with soft eyes, again, aware of the inner and outer tools available today. You just have to pick them up. We'll finish with the sound of Om. You can listen or join in. Inhale. Om. Thank you for practicing. Namaste.